Right, quick Friday afternoon session with the boys. So I figured I'd turn it into a how's it going so far with the top fuel? Because got a few rides in it now, a few tweaks. So chat you through those as we tackle some local trails. And one change I've just made on this bike, if you're watching the tyre test videos, is to switch to slightly more grippy rubber, although as you can hear from the Racing Ralph just sliding down on the back there, I've only really... Oh, now this is nice! Look at that little cordray of logs down the bottom there. But I'm now on a Wicked Will on the front, because a bit more grip, but still a fast rolling tyre, but it's soft compound, so I'm hoping... Hit and miss last night. It's really sticky in some places, but it's slippery in others, so it's a soft compound. So I'll see how it goes this afternoon. Now it's obviously building towards a full comprehensive view on that tyre, but Rocket Run will be up shortly, which is what I'm running before. Peyote's already up there. What else? Oh, afternoon. Thanks very much. There's just 3 more behind. And yeah, oh, and new wheels. Put in some zips. So yeah, zip high tops in the back now. Similar lightweight, wide XC wheel set to the reserves that were on there before, but actually a little wider and a little more ductile in the build, so just a little bit more traction and smoothness. Ah! Oh shit! That was a near disaster. It's greasy down here this aft. Should have lined it up properly on that plank. Yeah, it's all gone a bit hop and pop sketchy. Down the Nid, along here, they've taken out some of the boardwalk, but not all of it. And what's left is greasy ass. So, a little more give and traction to go with hopefully a grippier tyre setup, or definitely a grippier tyre setup. And also, since it's got wet and slippery, I'll flick the shock mode across. That's fully open on the low speed compression gate, just to give a little more smoothness and sensitivity. It's basically a little more active at the rear now. But I've got this Manitou Matic dialed in up front now. It's a gorgeous walk. Really, really super sensitive. Very impressed with it so far. So I'll probably just stop, click a fork camera on it. In fact, it's so sensitive. There was so much flutter going on. Took a while dialing in the rebound, and then I've actually had to add some high-speed compression in there as well, just to stop it blowing through its travel too easily. Which is a nice change, to be honest, because so many forks now, damping's set up to be mega kind of aggressive gravity setting. I just find myself running them fully open all the time. And with that, a bit more compression on the fork actually lines up with the feel of the back end better. Because again, super sensitive, but with the way the shock's tuned, quite a firm mid-stroke. So you got flutter off the top. Sorry, I'm taking this really gingerly because this is absolutely treacherous, this wood. The joy with this bike is, as soon as you get clear, really light and responsive for cracking the throttle and getting it accelerating. Plus it pops and hops really nicely as well. You know, having a bike down in the low 11s really is noticeable when it comes to hustling and hassling on stoppy starty trails like this. Oh, and another big bonus, I love a proper funky seat post. All right, so this wolf tooth is really doing it for me in terms of knowing whether it's up or down, because it's a proper thunk when it comes back up. Hey, thunk down and then thunk back up. None of that subtle, quiet, is it up, is it down nonsense. You know it's fully pedal height and ready to push on. And ready to push on pretty much sums up this bike beautifully. Friday afternoon is quite busy with dog walkers, so people like pull over. You know the drill, folks. Be nice, say hi. Because even though it has got a lockout lever on, I don't think I've used it once. Yes, I mean, look down, there's actually quite a lot of shock movement. Should have put the bar cam on again, facing backwards, so I'll do that in a minute. But through your feet, just feels super stable. Certainly doesn't feel like it's robbing any power at all. And if you have it in the more closed compression modes, it's got an even firmer feel, as you'd expect. But again, even though it's firm, there's still enough easy movement from that shock and that ABP rear end. Oh, bit of squirm from the racing ram on the grease under these leaves. Oh, what I'm saying is, over roots, that kind of thing. It's kind of continual connection. So traction, very rarely an issue. Even though the ground's getting soft, I'm still running what are effectively race tyres. I am feeling last night's TNFC though. Is it me or are they just chatting away behind us?
Yeah, they're out for a kill ride.
Oh god.
That's how it was advertised.
This is always a little fun challenge. Spinning, grunt out. Yes. Nice work, top fuel. Happy days. Right, let's see how Wicked Will gets on this infamously greasy. Oh no, good, good, nice step out from the Ralph on the rear, as I'd expect. But Will on the front actually biting pretty well there. Pretty Will, if you will. Right, I'm going to keep it high. I'm actually not used to having side knobs. Right. Hey, look at that. Kisserman does a body hop on camera and doesn't bin it. Rare occurrence, that, folks. Cherish and enjoy. And there's the seat post clunk. That's the only time you can tell, actually. It's in the more open shot mode. It's bits like that where you're honking fairly clumsily out the saddle. Feel the back end moving around more. But then getting the bonus traction as a result. So it's dead easy, you know. All it is a little change. Just lift the gate on the shock at the back and you're all firmed up and ready to pedal. And I don't know how many of you watched Mont Saint Anne XC at the weekend, or XCO at the weekend, but notoriously techie, rooty, savage course. And rather than riding a normal super caliber, Evie Richards is actually on the top fuel in short travel mode. So that was interesting to see, and a nice little affirmation that, you know, this is a bike you can set up genuinely light and XC ready. So that's going to be my question at the end. What do you want to see do with it next? So I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, I'm really happy with it in 130, 120 mode. But, you know, do you want to see me go 140, 130 next, or take it down to 120 both ends and really chase some grams out of it? Because that's the beauty of this bike, is its versatility. And while we're out riding, this is a Leat helmet, 100% specs, new bath steel, gloss white, 7 mesh trousers, and oh god, what's it called? Icebreaker, sorry. Icebreaker NZ merino top, and 510 shoes. So as well as all the kit I'm running on this bike, I'll also be doing reviews of those. And Ryan's on the Specialized Epic Evo, which is obviously, you know, a bike that's in direct competition with this top fuel, this kind of fast XC trail category. So as soon as I get the TRP off that, put the SRAM back on, expect a head-to-head from those two too. Oh arse. Undergeared and one-handed. I'm gonna cheat. Oh, and another thing you should know, I know I captioned it last time, but I didn't make it clear. Through the medium of the spoken word is I chopped these mega wide Bonty bars down before I even got out of the workshop, because frankly, at 820mm standard, it was a struggle even getting them out of the workshop. So they're now down to a more tree and tight tweaky friendly 770, although there are still trails up at Stainburn, for example, where I need to remember I'm on a relatively wide bar still. So I have pinged my knuckles and my grips a couple of times, including last night. But yeah, definitely liking the, as I say, the medium-large choice. Not as crazy, you know, not as stable because it's not as long on the fast getaway stuff, but shorter. Whoa, hello, that's got soggy it. That was nearly a splat I regretted. What was I saying? Yeah, shorter, not stable at high speed, but just a little bit more agile on the close combat stuff. And obviously Trek, one of the few brands actually doing that medium-large option between, you know, well, medium and large, unsurprisingly. But because they've dropped the seat tubes down significantly on all sizes, gives you a lot more freedom to size up or size down without having an issue with dropper post length. Only thing I would say, definitely straight away, going back to that Evo comparison, storage on this top fuel, definitely not as good. It's a much shallower down tube, so you have to kind of work even just with an inner tube to get it in there, whereas that Epic Evo will swallow plenty, whether that's a Chilean barbecue or jackets, tubes, spares, tools, for a full night ride out. And also obviously Epic Evo, significantly lighter frame. I think 2 kilos versus 2.7. So, but then this bike has a full set of bearings, pivots, proper Rockalink suspension, whereas that Epic Evo is just a flex stay. But don't know where everyone's gone. Let's have a nice static look at the bike while we wait for him. Oh, and the other thing I need to do before I start monkeying around with travel is I need to play around with that shock leverage. It's on the lower leverage mode at the moment, but I'm going to pop it into high leverage because I'm pushing through almost all the way to the end of the stroke, which I didn't do on the Fuel 9 with the Fox on, but this seems, because that had a bigger bottom out bumper, but it seems more open on this RockShox Deluxe Oh, and I haven't colour coded my grip collars either, which is obviously the most important thing. Yeah, I like this tyre combo. It just feels a lot more secure. And the other thing, I can actually use the brakes, because these Tech E4s, sorry, Tech 4 E4s, given their full name, are proper powerful, a lot more powerful than the XCR E4s I've got on the Squatch. About 33% more powerful, apparently. So, with that peyote on the back, they were pretty much unusable. It just flicked the back end out immediately. Whereas that Racing Ralph hooks up noticeably better. And I'm not just shunting the front end straight away either, thanks to that soft compound. So I think they are a bit overkill, not least because it's a direct mount 180 on the back. You can't actually put a 160mm rotor, which otherwise is probably what I would have gone for, because it just doesn't need that much braking power on the back. But because of the way that ABP pivot is put together, that is the only option. So maybe I will. I'm toying with popping a XCR lever on this and creating a... All right, thanks very much. Creating a lighter, less powerful setup. So just flick the lock on the shock in a Dr. Seuss suspension manner. I can confirm it is a proper lockout. Very solid, topped out pedalling feel. You know, not slight squidge and bounce. That's a real lockdown there, folks. So if you do want to storm some road sprints, that's your setting. Right, and just to continue my little shock science experiment, I've flicked it into the firmer mode on the gate, and again, that's really obvious. Tell that straight away to the soles of my feet, so it'll be interesting to see what that means. Oh hello, tiny squirrel nearly under my tyres. Because this will be greasy and slippery. Yeah, definitely firmer. Feels like it's moving around more. What? Yep. I think the tyre was always going to step out there. And you can definitely feel that. It feels like the bike's sat a little higher as well, which would make sense. But actually that's another win, because it's relatively high BB and I've gone for shorter than usual cranks on these Hope carbons. I've got loads of pedal clearance. That was really noticeable down Stainburn last night on the really rocky, steppy stuff. Didn't feel like I was worrying about toe tapping, and I can actually hear Amy behind me grinding out her cranks and pedals quite a lot on stuff I was clearing without an issue. And what this bike really loves is just this kind of flowy, classic flowy, sort of stop-starty, really wide range, natural single track stuff, which is grand, because it's pretty much my favourite type of riding as well. So you've got that smoothness to just clout over a route spread like that, and then that precision and low weight to really make nice clean cuts on technical sections as well. And basically it just means, together with that ground clearance, I'm getting to pedal a lot and keep the rear wheel hooked up, which is always a bonus on techie climbs, which again is one of my favourite parts of climbing as well. The dying art of getting up stuff without a motor. But yeah, overall, really liking this bike and this setup of it, you know, which obviously is kind of the default setup. And while it seems silly having less gravel than possible on the alloy bike because it's heavier, because this is so much lighter, that short travel, more responsive build feels like a much better match. So like I say, let me know what you want me to do with it next, how you want your genie rubbed, as it were, because that is the whole point of this project, to show like how much versatility there is in this bike. Because the other thing I've got to say is it is expensive, even as frame alone. In fact, more so as frame alone. It is proper pricey. It's £4 I think for this frame set. So it's definitely a bike you want to be able to get your money's worth out of in terms of versatility.
Hey,
No worries. Thank you. So let me know how you want to see it being built up next. Out of all the potential, longer, heavier, lighter, shorter, and even mullet or coil builds are on the agenda if you want to get really freaky with your top fuel. Hello, you've forgotten your ball. Just going back to the shock modes. This firmer one definitely tightens the back end up as you're pushing in and out of the saddle. And again, it just feels like it's riding a bit higher, firmer through turns and descents. It's a little bit more hot. Love that little cutting. In my head, that's like Danny Hart cutting in, sliding the back end out at Champery in the World in 2011. And I'm sure it looks just as spectacular. It's just that Rob Warner ain't shouting about it. Stay on your bike, Kez. Yeah, right. In my dreams. I'm purely filming this so Ryan can get a nice shot. Me going up into the sun. But again, it's another really nice example of this bike feeling impressively capable on the single tracky stuff, and then still being really keen on short punchy climbs or even long tempo climbs. It's just a great example of that modern kind of XC trail all-rounder. And there, one last little greasy steppy challenge to get us out the gorge. But hopefully a good example of how that ABP back end can just be smacked into stuff without holding you back, and then grip nicely under power going up the rest of it. So far so good. Yes. Nice way to end a Friday afternoon ride with a cheeky climb clean. Woo. So there we go. Trek top fuel, mid travel, mid term report, done. I have to say, it's scoring really, really well across all classes, apart from maybe internal storage and price. But in terms of performance, it really is a standout bike. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that changes, whether it's still, you know, pushing into categories where it's perhaps not. Well, it's not its natural kind of wheelhouse, the longer travel setting or the shorter travel, so it'll be interesting to compare them against, you know, bikes that are native to that category. But first, a bit more playing around with the progression and getting it out for a back-to-back with Ryan on the Specialised Epic Evo. Anything else I can find in a similar category as well. But thanks for watching. Massive thanks to my industry supporters. Thanks to my Patreon subscribers. If you want to see these ad-free, early and extended sometimes, and get to ask higher level of questions, then support me on Patreon. But otherwise, like and subscribe and give it a thumbs up and tell your mates about it. Because you never know. They might want to watch Guy Kesteven on Guy Case TV talking about the Trek Top Fuel Twisted Custom Build Series.